Settings. Input. Digital boost. Don't know what IXY means, so we'll leave that alone. As you can tell, it's a slick organisation here at the D20 Future Show.
Hello and welcome to the D20 Future Show. I am, as always, your host and your GM, Richard. And some time ago now, I went to the UK Games Expo, the largest gaming convention in the UK and one of the largest in the world. This episode will be some of the interviews I recorded at the expo with wonderful RPG creators of all sorts that I met there. Apologies for the lateness of this episode. I'm afraid I caught COVID at the event. It turns out COVID is very much still a thing, and that and a number of other things, including transferring over to a brand new PC, has meant that I have just not been able to get this out on time. I hope that the next episode will follow in more of a timely manner. I will do my best. But before we get to the pod, it's competition time. While at the UK Games Expo, I acquired some TTRPG gaming stuff, and I want to give it away to a lucky listener. So, if you want a chance to win a D20 in the mouth of a big cat sticker, that obviously trails off a little bit at the end, but it's still a pretty cool sticker, a nerd pin badge, a Sirenscape D&D sounds code, and some D&D adventures featuring some gorgeous Loki battle map books, and an adventure inspired by Studio Ghibli and The Legend of Zelda. It's a pretty cool kind of Japanese anime-themed adventure. Then all you have to do is get in touch with the podcast by email, that's d20futureshow@gmail.com, or any of our social media places, and tell me what you were doing over the weekend of the UK Games Expo. Unless that is you're the person who gave me COVID, because I know what you were doing. You were having a lovely time playing some games, slightly too close to me. All the entrants will go in a hat, the winner will be drawn, and I will be in touch. Right, let's get to the interviews.
We are here at the very beginning of UK Games Expo 2024, and I am here with...
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm D&D Made Easy.
Dan from D&D Made Easy. Now, Dan, we are looking at a table of print-at-home, printed-out D&D stuff, presumably given your name to make life easy.
Yeah, so I love crafting, and I really want to share I think crafting brings out the best in me, as do TTRPGs, and I wanted to smash those together and make it easy for people to make it easy playing D&D and also get their hands in and make their own products and be able to customize things. Mm-hmm. So I make heavily customizable D&D player aids. So full character journals where you can choose which pages you put in. So if you've got magic items, you put magic item pages in, include digital images. If you've got familiar, you put familiars in. And most importantly, everything's easy. So I make a huge use of kind of infographics and rules reminders throughout all of my pages. What's best is, because everything is custom, you can get all of the specific class abilities and what levels you get them at in dedicated sections for each class. Mm-hmm. And if your character has 5 classes, you just include those 5 different modules, and you've got every level that you get, every specific ability for every class. I've not seen a journal that lets you do that.
Great. So when one of our listeners inevitably comes to your website, which is
dndmadeeasy.com,
brilliant, and buys a thing, they get a PDF to print at home. Is that right?
They get a set of, so the character journal, for example, I think that's over 700 files, which are in different printing alignments to support perfect printing, basically. So because it's double-sided, and the journal includes nice tabs, so it's easy to find where you are in your journal. You want to get the print to be kind of perfect. So everything comes in different alignments for those, and also A4 and letter, so you can use it wherever you are in the world. You get access to to the archive. You also get access to a very detailed guide of exactly how to choose your pages, print, cut, and assemble your journals. Mm-hmm. I also have YouTube videos that go through the entire process.
I'm also looking at little shield type things. What's the deal with the shields?
Yeah, so I have some simpler, less customizable products. So the shield is a print-at-home defenses tracker. It's really popular for kids because it's such a simple thing. So print it, double-sided. It's looks look stylish, very simple. Laminate it and update it with a dry white marker. That is permanently free for kids, which you can get access from my Discord. It's also, I'm giving digital access to it for free here at UK Games Expo this weekend, and to anyone that joins my newsletter.
Brill. And anything else that I've missed out? I feel like I've covered most of the things. Anything else that you're desperate to tell us about?
Yeah, so community is super important to me.
Okay.
And as a creator of digital products, I'm in a really privileged position where I can really support the community. It costs me nothing to deliver my products.
Sure.
So I'm really big on giving access to my products for free for kind of pro-community purposes. So school D&D clubs, charity events, therapy sessions, even live play podcasts. I guess probably more the video ones, but
sure, yes.
If you want to use them, then that would be great. And I also really want to support particularly the school club community. So I'm putting together a list of resources, including content from creators like TTRPG Kids and D&D Shorts, hopefully making a hub where school or people that are wanting to set up a school D&D club can get access to loads of free resources just in one place, and it's easy.
Fantastic. Okay, and if our listeners want to find your stuff, so your website, say it again. You can never say your website too many times.
Yep, so my website is dndmadeeasy.com, and I am also at dndmadeeasy on the thing formerly known as Twitter,
it's called Twitter,
Instagram,
let's be honest.
Facebook, TikTok, and I have a YouTube channel where I do make kind of long-form videos as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Dan.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
I am here with Tom from Tom
Cartos, that's me, yeah.
Hi Tom. So tell us about what's going on here. We're looking at lots and lots of map books.
Yes, so we do battle maps, that's pretty much what we do. We have a huge selection online in digital form, and we are now also selling physical map books. There's 9 different books, each one has a different theme, the idea being that they're perfect for quick DM prep. So whether you need something just before a session or even mid-session, something your players weren't expecting, they head into any one of these biomes, you can quickly pull out a battle map. We also have rollable encounters to quickly set up encounters on them.
Okay.
Each of the books is a 22 by 17 inch map. They're fully dry arrays, and they come in 2 different versions. We have ones that are full set scenario with assets and props, and then a simplified version that has kind of the base terrain that you can customize with the dry arrays and marker, or the reusable asset stickers that we include.
Okay, so it's a book of biome, is that that's the system?
Exactly, yeah. So we have 3 different volumes. Our overworld volume has themes like forests, deserts, jungles, mountains, oceans. We have the underworld set, which is more like dungeons, caves, ruins. And our newest set, which we just kickstarted and is currently on pre-order, is the urban set. So towns, cities, shops, homes, castles, that kind of thing.
And for those of us who do sci-fi gaming, do you do anything sci-fi or is it all fantasy
So we have a second Patreon at the moment, which is more digital stuff, which is modern and sci-fi content.
Okay, and any plans to bring those into print?
Yes, definitely. We'll be bringing those into books in the future.
Brilliant. Okay, and how much is a book? What is it? Is it a box set or individual books?
So
What's the deal?
you can buy the books individually. We got a special price. They're £32 this weekend. They're normally £37.
Okay.
Or they come in a box of 3, which is £85 this weekend, as well as the 3 books and all the asset sticker sheets. That includes 2 larger fold-out maps and a GM screen.
And for those unfortunate people who are not at the expo and thus listening to my podcast, how much will that box set be?
A box set normally is £105 or $37 for the books. And any purchase includes the complete digital bundle for everything. So if you buy even 1 book, you get the digital content for all 9.
Okay, excellent. And where can our listeners find you on the internet to give you money for the things?
TomCartos.com. It's Cartos like cartography, so CARTOS. Everything's on there.
Okay, thanks so much for your time, Tom.
Thank you very much.
I am here with...
My name's Anna. I am a youth from the Biosphere Guardians 2050 project. We are an international youth exchange from 4 countries. We are from Wales, Ireland, Kempton in Germany, and Trento in Italy. And we got together a bunch of youths aged 16 to 25 to create a role-playing game.
Okay, and that is Biosphere Guardians 2050?
It is.
Tell me about that. I'm going to assume some sort of futuristic, eco-themed game.
Basically, yeah. So it is imagining an optimistic carbon-negative future. That's the tagline.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. So essentially, in the year 2050, certain areas of the world will have been rewilded, protected, and have become carbon negative, like eco spaces. And as Biosphere Guardians, you are the rangers that are seeking to protect these areas from harm, from the factions in the game that would seek to do harm to the areas and foil your plans, I suppose.
Okay. And so the group are part of generating presumably both the background and the system, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So it's entirely made by youths.
Fantastic.
So in all of our exchange projects, we've got together and we've come up with the rule sets. We've done most of the art. We have got a very talented artist that's done the bulk of it, but some of our youths, including myself, have done artwork for the game. So.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. So it's a rules-light D6 system.
Okay.
It's very, very simple. It's essentially meant to be so that anybody from any walk of life can pick up this game, take a D6 out of Monopoly or whatever board game they have at home, and they can just get cracking with it.
All right, brilliant. So, is it classes, skills? I'm a systems nerd, so I want to just know a few things about the system.
I'm more of an art nerd than a systems nerd, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there's classes, there is factions for the GMs to choose from.
Okay.
There is, I believe, there's a D6 table system for creating the biosphere itself.
Oh, right, brilliant.
But there is also in the final book, which is not yet released, late 2024. Each of our countries has created their own biosphere adventure for you to play through if you don't want to make your own yet or you don't know how.
Fantastic. And if our listeners want to get hold of such a thing, where can they find it?
You can find it on itch.io. I do have a QR code, but that's not very useful for a podcast.
That isn't going to work on podcasts, but if you search
Guardians.
for Biosphere Guardians 2050 on itch.io,
yes,
you'll find it.
Absolutely, and it will be released, same as I say, late 2024, but we do have quick start rule sheets, character sheets, anything we have ready is on the itch.io already.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds like a fascinating project. And if one of our listeners, at least this may be possible in theory, is a youth that wants to get involved, how could they do that?
I'm actually not sure. Follow the itch.io page and get in touch with us, and we can see what we can do.
Well,
yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Anna.
Thank you.
I'm here with Juan from Quintessence role-playing game. Who are you and what's that?
We are a brand new role-play game maker, parent maker, so I'm here with my business partner Charlotte. Quintessence is a setting-agnostic RPG.
Okay.
Meaning you could play a fantasy game, a steampunk game, horror, any genre you want.
Okay.
You can go crazy with it. It works for combat heavy, it works for tactical, it works for more storytelling, more dramatic things. We have play tested this with so many different groups of people, and it's really interesting how they come out of it. At its heart, it's a dice pool system, so you build a dice pool and you roll dice. We looked at an awful lot of role-playing games. We've played an awful lot of role-playing games. We kind of looked at the things that we really liked, dice pools being one of them. It's way more fun to roll a huge handful of dice than it is just one.
Argue with that fact, yes, yeah.
And we took away things that we didn't like. So we got rid of initiative in combat. So we use what we call the action bar, which is very cinematic. Combat doesn't have to last for hours and hours and drag on. Everyone can participate whenever they want into it. It's easy to manage for the GM. So yeah, we're really happy with it. And so far, the feedback's been very, very positive, which is good. Oh, we have a free-form magic system, which really surprised me. We tested it with a group of kind of people from more of a wargaming background, you know, who were very like, this needs to do this type thing. And so when I said, oh, you can cast a spell, like, where's the spells? Well, just tell me what you want to do. We'll work out how it works. And we have rules for how that works. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So very proud of that, to be honest. So yeah, really, really good so far.
Okay, and is it, speaking as a GM, is it kind of sort of prep heavy, or is it kind of designed to be sort of played on the fly?
I would say it's medium, you know. So you'll like anything really. The more you plan, the more you'll get out of it. The more planning you do, the easier with everything. The easier it is to manage.
Of course, yeah.
I would say you only really need to plan a couple of encounters. Because the way the action bar works, just plan your action bars out. Planning can be minimal if you want to.
All right, talk me through the action bar. So the listener, I'm looking at a printed out character sheet, I'm guessing here.
Yeah.
Is it on there? Is that?
It is.
All right.
So I just grab this for you here.
Listener, I will describe it. We've got a bunch of boxes. And the action tracker is a series of boxes labelled 1 to 20.
That's it, yeah. So every player has the option of 3 actions. So they can take a 1-step action, which is normally something quite quick, a 2-step action, which is kind of like a standard action, or a 3-step action, which is something big and impressive. So if they wanted to, in combat, they could do, on each step, they could do one 1-step action. They could act all 20 times if they want.
Okay.
And everyone's acting all at the same time. time.
Right.
On a 2-step, so they might say, I'll do a 1-step action, and then I'll wait 2 steps, and I'll act on step 3.
Okay.
Or they could say, after that, I'm going to do a 3-step action, so I'm not going to go again until step 6. Mm-hmm. Depending on what they want to do. And in between that, they can just say, right, I'm going to cancel that action because I'm going to react to something that's happening. Yeah. So it's really, really fluid. It ends up being quite cinematic. Because the way we've got it with making checks, because everything is rolling a dice pool, you're sort of deciding based on how your character would act, how you're going to solve any problem. So a GM might say, there's a rock in the middle of the road.
Yep.
What are you going to do? You might say, I'm a really strong character.
Yep.
And I hate rocks, so I'm going to use my fortitude and my passion. So that would give you, like, say, for this character, for example, it would give you 2d4 and 3d8. So you'd roll them, get over anything over 4 is a success. You can move the rock. You might also say, actually, I'm not very strong, but I'm good at chemistry, so I'm going to dissolve the rock.
Yep.
Things like that. So it all depends. It's all down to the creativity of the character.
All right. Sounds good. And it's designed for one-shots or campaign play. So I see it's classless and levelless.
Yep.
Is there progression?
There is, yeah. So we have an experience point system. So anytime you do a successful check or you overcome an encounter, the GM will give you a certain number of experience. But anytime you complete a check, you get 1 experience point.
Okay.
And at certain kind of rest points in the game, you can upgrade your perks, upgrade your affinities, upgrade everything, or come up with new ones. Narrative reasons. So say you say, I want to learn magic because that guy over there is amazing, so I'm going to learn magic. And you might say, okay, I'm going to put 1 point into a perk that says magic, I don't know, to do with the seasons.
Okay.
So you have a point in that, so then you can start using magic. So because it's classless, you can customize a character in any direction you want to develop it, and it can respond to the needs of the narrative of the campaign as well, rather than being, I'm a fighter, and at level 5 I suddenly randomly get 2 attacks. There's no narrative reason for that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's narrative is key to all of it for us.
Brilliant. Okay, that sounds like a fascinating system. And if our listeners want to get hold of the system or find out more, where can they go?
Just go to our website, which is quintessencettrpg.com.
Thanks so much for your time, Jim.
No worries at all. I hope the rest of the show goes well for you.
Thank you. I'm here with
Colin LeSueur from Bioden's Beard RPG.
Okay, Bioden's Beard with the best beard I think I've seen so far today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, there's no award for that. And tell me about Bioden's Beard. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm an independent designer and illustrator, writer. So I make games like Runecairn, We Deal in Lead. So Runecairn's a Norse fantasy Souls-like TTRPG.
Okay.
So it's designed for 2 players, 1 warden, the GM, and 1 player, the adventurer. And We Deal in Lead is a Weird West gunslinger TTRPG. Okay. It's inspired by Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
Excellent. And I see you also have a number of adventures for, there's a couple for D&D 5e.
That's right, yeah. So yeah, I started doing D&D 5e adventures.
Yeah,
and then I branched off.
That's how we start, yes.
Exactly, yeah. And then I started making my own system with Runecairn. And then, so I had originally some core rules and then individual zines.
Yep.
And then I collected those into a hardcover. I just had a successful Kickstarter for that. And that's what's on sale right now.
Lovely.
Then I also do adventures for Cairn, which is a D20 roll-under system inspired by Into the Odd.
Okay, right. Lovely. And so as all this art, listener, I'm looking at lots of gorgeous art. It's really beautiful. That's all the work done yourself, is it?
So a lot of the art's by me, like the covers on all of these. And then as I've kind of expanded, I've commissioned artists. So Crom, for instance, did the cover of the new hardcover. He's an amazing comic artist based in London. And then Goran Gligovic did the cover for Bestiary and for We Deal in Lead. So yeah, I branched out, but yeah, originally I did all the art, writing all myself.
Lovely. It's fantastic. Given that many of our listeners are more familiar with 5e and maybe not ready to branch out into Weird West kind of duo play, tell me about Colossus Wake and the Howling Caverns.
So the Howling Caverns started as my version of Ravenloft.
Okay.
I ran it for my players when I was running 5e games. It's basically a similar kind of structure to Ravenloft. after to Curse of Strahd.
Okay.
People wash up on this strange shore, and they have to investigate a curse that's happening to this village. And so it's inspired by, like obviously Ravenloft, but also folklore of the northeast of England. So Whitby, it's basically my version of Whitby in the northeast.
Okay.
And then Colossus Wake is a sequel to that, and that's heavily inspired by Shadow of the Colossus.
Yep.
So where the players have to confront and stop a colossus that's raging across the land, and risking destroying a village. Yeah, so it's there's a lot to explore. So it's based around what used to be an old dwarven stronghold, but all the dwarves were wiped out, and some Dwerger have moved in.
Okay.
And disrupting things in the region. Core idea is that some force has awakened this colossus that was meant to be a defender of the valley where it's set, but is now being turned against the valley. So the players have to, if they choose to, have to stop the colossus before it destroys everything. Howling Caverns was a horror venture, and then Colossus Wake is more of an epic adventure.
All right, and it's so the Howling Caverns is level 1 to 3, so you start your campaign.
Exactly, yeah.
That takes you through, and then the Colossus Wake. Is it just a one? Because it's quite a thick book for just a third level. Is it third and beyond?
Yeah,
or?
level 3 to 5.
Oh, okay.
So that's Howling Caverns. You can do in maybe 3 or 4 sessions, 2 to 3 at a push. Colossus Wake is a lot longer because there's a large area to explore and different regions to visit, and a massive dungeon in the middle. So that's more of a campaign, maybe 6 to 8 sessions.
Fantastic. Well, and if our listeners want to find Biodin's Beard, where can they go?
So you can find me on all social media at Biodin's Beard RPG. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. And you can go to shop.biodinsbeardrpg.com to get all my books.
Lovely stuff.
And I also sell on Itch and Drive-Thru-RPG.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
I'm here with Ramona from Alderdoodle. How are we doing, Ramona?
Hi, thanks very much for having me again.
It's a delight to see you again. So it's Friday morning.
It is.
So things are warming up. How is the UK Games Expo going for you this year?
Pretty good. First time with an expo being on this side of the table.
Yes.
Which was a little scary, not gonna lie. But
yeah.
Made a few sales, chatted with people. So
excellent.
Going good so far.
Talk us through the range you have. Let's start with the jackets. This is ambitious. We have fantastic looking leather jackets.
Thank you. It's debut for them, first outing.
Okay.
Out in the wild. Mm-hmm. One of them has been sold already. So
amazing.
6 to go.
Okay.
I've had really good reception so far, so it's good.
Bro, no, they look amazing.
Thank you.
And then we have spell scrolls all done with your fantastic calligraphy.
Yep, hand embellished with gold ink, so they're nice and shiny.
Would it be an Alderdoodle product if it wasn't a little bit?
It would not.
And then we have tarot decks.
We have Deck of Many Things.
Yep.
And we have some D&D and Pathfinder cards as well.
Lovely stuff. And of course, on top of that, and where I know you from is the amazing giveaway on your...
Once a month, I release a freebie of some sorts, where it's like a page border or character sheet or something. You can all find them all on my Ko-fi, but I do shout about them on Twitter mostly, or Instagram as well.
Listener, you ever buy any of my products with nice art assets in, you now may have a suspicion as to where they might come from.
Yeah, they're absolutely... So pay what you want, so if you don't have a budget for high custom art or anything, just feel free, just go and use it.
And assuming our listeners are now desperately searching for it, where can they find you on your social media?
Again, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, if you're into that, or Ko-fi, it's Alderdoodle on all of them.
Brill, so that's ALDERDOODLE.
That's it.
Lovely stuff. Assuming that our listeners they want to give you money for the beautiful things they make, and they haven't, idiots that they are, they haven't made it to the con, where can they find you?
I do have a website, alderdoodle.co.uk, or social media.
All right, Brill. Thank you so much, Ramona, and have a wonderful convention.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, I'm here with Rich from Hatchling Games. How's it going, Rich?
Pretty good, yeah. We've had a good morning already.
Fantastic, yeah. So we're on day one of the convention. We are in the morning, and if you're already having a good time, that is encouraging.
Yeah, I'm beaming today.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, Rich, tell us about the games you've got on offer. Should we start with Dragon Dowser, which
so Dragon
was kickstarting
that's right.
last year, and is now out.
Yeah. Dragon Dowser is our newest game to be released to the public. It's a solo journaling game. It's kind of a solar punk genre. So the idea is that you find an ace at the beginning, you kind of select it, and it represents a dragon egg that you've got to rescue. And as you go across the spread of cards, you can collect, lose resources or gain them, and you have negative prompts and positive prompts. And once you've found your egg, hopefully, then you've sort of like completed the journey. Okay. But you're meant to form like a really unique creative writing kind of exercise. That's the idea behind it. It's meant to be like a really chill game in the evening.
Fantastic. So the product itself is it's a book which has the prompts and a space to journal.
Yep.
And then a deck of cards, some of which are fancy and UV. Is that right, or is it just a deck of cards?
Deck cards, yeah. And we're selling one of Rune Fable's fabled handcrafted UV dice.
All right,
which represents a player piece and a rolling mechanism.
Right, most are. So that's Dragon Dowser. That's for solo play.
Yep.
But then you also have it's Inspire Isles is kind of that's the main line.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I think of as, this isn't a value judgment, as a kind of more standard RPG in that it's a group of people around a table.
Yeah.
There's a GM to run it, and then a collection of people.
Yeah.
But Inspire Isles, to be fair, is a little bit different.
Yes, it's kind of groundbreaking actually.
Yes.
So it's the first RPG to teach sign language. It teaches ASL and BSL.
Yep.
And we've expanded it over the years. So we've got campaign setting overalls now. We've got like anthologies. We've got flashcards that you can use at the table.
Okay.
To form like grammar and sentences. Yeah, it's doing really well. It's been used in schools up and down the country and across America.
Wonderful.
So like that's what we wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ticked all the boxes we wanted to present with it.
Lovely stuff. And listeners to the show, they've heard about it. It's a kind of optimistic fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Nothing grimdark.
No.
It's family friendly, but not necessarily childish.
No, exactly. I mean, most people who are on Kickstarter are adults, so like they put their money where their mouth is, so they're interested in playing. So it's great with families.
And then Over Isles is we spoke about that at Dragon Meet. That's your floating islands.
Yes, campaign setting. Yeah, so you like fly giant herons between these islands, and you're kind of like essentially solving the same tests as the core game.
Wonderful. What's next then for Hatchling Games?
So next we have Argo Zero and Cryptic Creeks. So Cryptic Creeks is a Lovecraftian, all ages, like Scooby-Doo type thing, or Gravity Falls. Playing a group of scouts, trying to lift a curse from the hometown. That's out next month. Really excited about that. And then Argo Naught or Argo Zero is like a retro sci-fi Greek myth.
Wow, okay.
So it's a bit like Hades, but in space.
Excellent, that sounds fascinating. And these are, I'm a systems nerd, so they're going to be driven by similar systems?
So Cryptic Creeks is carved from Brindlewood, so like Brindlewood Bay, like a mystery game. And then Argo is based on the Paragon system, the same people that made Aegon, which is like the Greek myth game. And Deathmatch Island, I think, recently came out.
Okay.
Same system.
If our listeners want to find you and want to find the range of stuff from Hatchling Games, where can they go?
www.hatchlingsgames.co.uk.
All right. Lovely stuff. Thanks so much for your time, Rich. Have a wonderful con.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's still Friday, it's still the UK Games Expo. I'm here with Matt from Loki Battle Mats. How are we doing, Matt?
Oh, very good. It's nice and busy, which is always good.
And in the unlikely event that our listener doesn't know who you are and what you do, who are you and what do you do?
So I'm Matt from Loki Battle Mats, and it's kind of what it says on the tin, really. We produce mats and maps for people to do their games on. We specialise in book format battle maps for RPGs.
Okay, but that's not all. So I tell you what, talk us through the range of books, and then we'll move on to the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go from side to side from where we are on the stand here.
That makes sense.
At this end, we have our big book range, or some of our big book range. We've got more stock than we can bring to a show. The big books are A4 in size, 60 individual pages, so they open to A3, and they have a 1-inch grid pattern on. but that's usually built into a design. So yeah, like there'll be lots of different scenes. So for example, the books here are Wrecks and Ruins. That is points of interest in outdoor settings. The next one along is the Big Book of Battle Mats Revised, which is kind of like a buffet of all the things you might need.
Yep.
So that's got taverns, it's got urban fantasy settings, it's got dungeons, it's got outdoor things, a little bit of everything. Further along we have Book of Rooms. That one, it's lots and lots of different indoor locations. Other than the A4 size, we do an A3 size, which is the giant Book of Battle Mats. We've got a few of those here with us. A lot of these companion in with the big books. So the Big Book of Wrecks and Ruins, the Giant Book of Wilds Wrecks and Ruins is the same biomes but different scenes.
Yeah.
So if you happen to own multiple of our products, you could put them together to make a larger area. And because they're all the same scale, style of drawing and everything else, you can mix and match between things to get bigger play areas, more diverse locations and the like. The last of the book formats we do is our modular sets. So these come as 2 1-foot square books in a slipcase. You take them out, unfold them to a 2-foot square playing area, and you can swap the pages around to change the scenes. And you can also, because they're modular, like if 2 foot by 2 foot doesn't fit your table very well, you can do 1 foot by 4 foot and have like a nice long run down the middle, have people going down streets or dungeon corridors or whatever it may be. As well as all the books of maps, we also have accessories that go with maps, like our big box of dungeon doors. You'll notice a theme in the name of our products here. We very much kind of name them for what they are. That one is a set of 40 acrylic standees with 40 unique bits of hand-drawn art. So it's by one of the people that we use for a lot of our cover art, James Hable, who's in Hall 2, I think. I've not actually caught him yet this expo, but hopefully soon.
He's bound to be here somewhere.
He'll be here. So they're all really nicely done. Perfect for putting on our maps, any other stuff that's the same scale. And if you're doing dungeon crawlers, if you're a Hero Quest aficionado, they're perfect sort of like, you know, spice up that sort of game. Much in the same way a lot of our books get used by people that do dungeon crawlers as well as RPGs. We've also got our Untold Encounters. That's a 340-page hardback actual written word book. We do forget sometimes we write things. That's lots and lots of system agnostic random encounters. Like there's 1,100 and something. There's a ton of them in there. 6 mini sort of like 2-page 5e adventure sort of snippets. And just loads of tables for rolling up and doing the random things when you need to work out what's happening with your players. We've got our decal sheets. These are effectively window stickers. We'll stick onto a laminate surface. So you can accessorize our maps or any other laminate maps with, you know, we've got packs for wilderness things like trees, fallen logs, bits of river, all those sorts of things. We've got ones for bits to go in dungeons, ones for things for your fancy towns. We've got one which is sort of magical spell effects, and we've got one which is war and siege, so it's sort of like, you know, piles of corpses and battering rams, bits of walls, debris, those sorts of things. Other stuff we have here, we've got a lot more products these days.
You really do, yes. The range has become more than just books.
We are a little bit addicted to making things. As soon as we think it's a good idea, we'll tend to actually do it. So we have our RPG toolboxes. These are kind of basically sort of pre-deconstructed sort of adventure modules.
Sure.
A lot of people, myself included, if I buy a module, I don't tend to run it end to end. I tend to sort of like go, well, you know what? I want that bit, I want that bit, I want to use that monster, that little snippet there is nice. I will fit this into my own world, my own campaign, and see how we go. So the toolboxes come with 10 double-sided fold-out maps. So they fold out to tabloid size, which is 11 by 17 inches for the non-Americans out there. And they're the same sort of quality as the book. So they're thick, sort of like cardstock style sheets that's laminated. And then there's 40 monster cards in those, and they've got like a full illustration on one side with no other details, so nothing's given away to your players if you show them the picture.
Sure.
And the back is the 5e stat block for that unique monster. There's a book in there as well. The book's about 60, 70 pages. The first third of it is some tables and random encounters themed around the maps that come in the set.
Sure.
So there's a map with like, you know, a chasm with a bridge over it. There'll be some random encounters about being pushed off a bridge or a trap here, or they will relate to the content of the map. So that's about the first third. Usually there's about 100 to 120 encounters in those. The middle third is a module that uses every single map in the box. So you get all of them in there. And then the end of the book is a bigger detail that we fit on the back of the cards for all the monsters. So it's just the stats on the back of the cards.
Yeah.
Inside the book, there's some description about why this thing is a thing.
Sure.
We have some of our coming soon things over there. So one of the new things which should be out in the next month or so is the Deck of Many Insults, which is again what it says on the tin. It's 100 oversized cards, so they're like about 20-30% bigger than a poker card, and they just have fantasy-themed insults on. 100 cards, 50 in the deck contain some proper swearing,
right,
and are not advised for under 16s, and the rest, make use of standard dictionary words to be offensive.
In a way suitable for children.
In a way, yes or no, it depends on your child.
It does depend on your child.
We would leave that up to parental advisory, and we put a 16 plus on there just to, let it be known. The other thing, which I don't even remember because I've seen it next to me, is the Box of Adventure.
Yep.
So this is a collection of, it's a system agnostic starter set is how we've always described these. So it's a collection of maps, so these are double-sided foldouts, terrain tokens, which are sheets that you cut out, and then you have lots of features to put on your maps, or extra rooms to attach to your dungeons and things. And I think it's about 300 POG-style tokens. They're cut out, so you need to cut them out the sheet, but you get a lot of them in there. So you get, if you've just started with the RPG, you get loads and loads of tokens for all your monsters and heroes, loads of maps to play on them, and loads of terrain to sort of mix it up. So the things that you don't get in a lot of starter sets for your classic fantasy RPGs,
sure,
you can bring that in, and then, as your addiction starts, you then start buying miniatures to replace the little cardboard things.
And so it begins.
And so it begins. The one last thing on that note is we have a box of tricks and traps, which is 25 sheets of cutout tokens. So it's just lots and lots of things that can accessorize your maps. And a lot of those are themed for like a twist on the reverse. So one side might be a set of barrels. The other side would be a crater with the remains of those barrels. So, obviously some volatile sat inside them. Maybe one side is a lovely rug, the other side is very much a spiked pit with the remains of a lovely rug in it.
And so on.
And so on. And I think that's about it. There probably is more.
Well, I was going to say, so that is fantasy, very much covered. Fantasy is easy in that while fantasy could be anything because our imagination is limitless, it tends to mean pretty much the same thing, which is a sort of Tolkien-esque fantasy, medieval, Western world, typically with 5-inch grid squares. Because it's easy. Sci-fi is a bit more complicated, but you have some offerings.
We do indeed. In the giant and big format, we have a giant and big book of sci-fi battle mats, and we have a giant and big book of cyberpunk battle mats. The cyberpunk ones are officially licensed for Cyberpunk Red.
Yep.
And the sci-fi one, we've tried to hit a bit of a balance because obviously sci-fi could be anything from super clean sort of Star Trek sort of post-scarcity stuff. It could be like the cobbled together, like a grit of Star Wars style sci-fi. It could be your gothic despair of a grimdark future, or anything in between, or sideways. So we've gone for a bit of a mix, and that particular book, because there's 60 map pages in there, or 62 in the giant, we've got some what I like to call away mission pages. So there'll be an icy planet, a sandy planet, a sort of like cratery moon type one, some things that could be habitat interiors or ship interiors, both on the sort of cleaner sci-fi style through to some that are a bit grittier, darker, slightly more industrial. And then there's one or two direct ship deck plans. We've got one which is relatively clean, like a shuttle type thing, and one which is a little bit grimier, for a better word.
Sure.
So used in the Star Wars style of aesthetic. It's more like a freighter-y type thing. And the last couple of pages in those, we have some starscapes, asteroid belts, low orbit planet exteriors and those sort of things if you're doing more of the ship-based thing, or if your adventurers just happen to be floating around in space for their own benefit.
Seldom for their benefit.
Yeah.
Usually for the GMs.
Yeah, you've got to sell it to them.
This is true.
Or just make it happen, And the cyberpunk one, it's kind of where we tried to hit modern, cyberpunk and apocalyptic in a bit of the same book. So, that ruined street could be a combat zone like in Cyberpunk Red, or it could be like where the zombies are coming running at you in like whatever other game shambling zombies or whatever you're trying to do. Nothing's too high tech in there. There's lots of neon, there's lots of like wet streets and things like that.
Sure.
But they could be very near future as opposed to distinctly, definitely has to be cyberpunk. Although it very much does fit cyberpunk, which is why it's got that name slapped on the front.
Brill. And what's next for Loki Battle Mats?
So the next couple of direct things, the Deck of Insults is the next thing to be released. We have a new modular set which is going to have decals inside it, so that's a slightly new format for us.
Okay.
That's the terrain set, so this one is base layers. So it's one of the modular sets, so you get the 2x2 area, and it'll be plain but detailed things. So like the grass one will be a very detailed grass sort of picture.
Yep.
And like there'll be like little rocks and things, and it'll look nice, but it's the sort of thing you can put the decals in the books on to go like, well, this is actually now wood because I've attached these tree decals to it. So that's the terrain set. We've got another one of our little books. These are little like 6 foot, 6 foot. That wouldn't be so little. 6 inch. So a 6 inch page, so it's very much almost pocket sized. We did them as part of some crowdfunding a while ago. They're still popular, so there's a new one coming, which will be a mix of different sort of environments. So fantasy again, so fantasy urban, fantasy dungeon style, fantasy wilderness style, just lots of tiny little pocket scenes that you can either add on to your existing sort of map just to have an extra space or a transition across, like a corridor from one to another, or if you're on the move, like D&D could break out spontaneously anywhere. You've got your dice, you've got your character sheet on your phone. Now you've got a map that you can throw down and like doodle away on with your pens. We've got a GM screen, random encounters on the back, 100 for wilderness settings, and some like handy tables for travel distances, what the weather's like, NPC naming thing. So there's a column for personality, one for first name, one for surname, one for profession, that sort of thing. So you can just sort of some handy things on the back of a GM screen. We've got 2 more sets of the static thing decal sets coming out. One is ruined, so it's just lots of debris, broken statues, broken pillars, all those sorts of mainstays that could be in a dungeon or could be out in a wilderness. The other one is basically just a bonus set. It was part of a crowdfund, so we've got a bonus set of extra things that go with the terrain set. I think that's it for the minute that I can think of.
Bound to be something new at some point.
Yes, we've got our calendars. So we did a calendar for 2024. And each picture page of the calendar is a 12x12 map. And there's a QR code each month that takes you to a PDF adventure to do some adventuring on said map. The 2025 one will be out in the next month or 2.
And if you wanted to wrap that and give it to somebody, you've got some wrapping paper.
That's the other thing. We have wrapping paper, which is, we always hear the advice come sort of gifting season that there's 1-inch grids on the back of wrapping paper. So we've taken that one step further. We've got a 1-inch grid on the back of a wrapping paper. At the front is a fully detailed dungeon. So if you want to use that wrapping paper to adventure on, not only have you got the plain 1-inch grid, you've then also got a pre-drawn detailed dungeon that you can also go adventuring on. And that comes with a couple of little gift tags in the pack, and they've got a QR code, so you get a digital copy, just in case someone wraps it up far too tight and you can't neatly get it back out again.
And assuming that our listeners are converted and they now realise that the best way to adventure is on a Loki battle map, where can they go to find it on the internet?
LokiBattleMats.com is the easiest place.
All right. Thank you so much for your time as always, Matt.
Oh, you're welcome. Great to see you.
It's the evening of day 1 of the UK Games Expo, and I'm here with Paul Flannery. Hi, Paul.
Hello. Day 1. It's day 2 for me.
Yeah, okay.
Well, day 2 of the Expo. No, day 1 of the. You're right. They opened this morning.
Let's not argue too much. I mean, I was also here for the press preview yesterday, so yeah, it's day 1.5.
Day 1.5. Yeah.
Either way, I have just seen one of the hardest to explain things I've ever seen. Which is Questiny. Tell us about the concept of Questiny, and then we can maybe explain what happened this evening to give our listeners some context.
Questiny was a show I started in Edinburgh in about, I think, 2015 or 16. The idea was to create a role-playing game with the audience in about an hour. So the idea is to start with very, very few rules and start taking suggestions from the audience and build an entire world, or build a concept, or build characters, and just play through the story, and just what's the word where you just really drive through it, force a story out of it.
Yes, yeah. You keep pushing events until a narrative resolves. Yeah. And so tonight we had kind of a spin on Dread, mostly based on the fact that you cannot buy Jenga at the UK Games Expo.
Bizarrely, yeah, you can buy any other game you like, but Jenga apparently not. So I got a copy of Fuzzles, which worked very well, I thought, considering. But yeah, Dread is such a fantastic game where the sort of horror game. If you've not played it before, your character is the Jenga tower, and you pull blocks as you do tasks like you would roll a dice. And if the Jenga tower falls over, your character dies.
But fair to say, Questony doesn't sort of lean into the standard RPG tropes.
No.
So we had a crocodile with blenders for hands.
Correct.
A goldfish, which was also a lemon zester.
Correct.
And a third member of the crew who was a giraffe with a garlic press for knees.
Yeah, let's say knees.
Yeah, I think it was knees.
That's the family-friendly version.
Either way, the giraffe produced garlic throughout the show, and they attempted a heist.
Yep, the whole heist was to go into a cursed casino and steal a fruit machine. That's a machine that makes fruit.
A machine that makes fruit.
Yeah.
Yes. Not one of those gambling fruit machines.
No. Because one of the players was 8 years old, so we're like, let's steer away from the actual gambling.
So. It's fair to say the sort of thing that only really makes sense in the space at the time, which I think is probably true of most role-playing games, actually.
I think so. They're a lovely story builder. They give you the blueprint to put your own sort of narrative on. I really like games that don't have too much lore in them. They just give you a structure, and then you build your own in-jokes and you build your own things that happen and your own house rules. And you find that, I mean, I certainly find that I play games very differently to other groups. Okay. Or our group plays games in a way, and then you go to other groups and they're, oh, we do it like this, and it's, And
so they generate their own energy and kind of shorthand and so on.
And so the idea of a Questony is to sort of do that live in a room, using sort of improv techniques and comedy and having nobody take it too seriously and hopefully by the end of it you're like, what happened? It was definitely a story, but how do I describe this to people?
And I think, listener, you will agree we have failed to do that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it takes on a kind of an energy that works in the room. Now, assuming that our listeners are sort of idiots who didn't come to the UK Games Expo 2024, is this something that they can see? I mean, obviously not the garlic pressed knees and the goldfish with the zest, but some new Questony. How can our listeners see that, find that?
I haven't really done it. I've done it at Aircon and I do it here every year, and I endeavour to do more. It's been since the pandemic and since the end of sort of lockdown. A lot of my work has become more administrative and managerial and going into like the sort of higher end of working for companies. I don't tend to produce a lot of my own shows anymore, but I should. You're right, and I will do a Questony. But where are your listeners?
They are, at least in theory, all over the world.
I'll go do a show there.
So does that mean are you likely to be back for the Fringe, or is that?
No, what happened to me is in August I now run an immersive medieval festival in Sussex. So we have it's run over the first 3 weekends of August. So it's a day event, very family friendly. There's lots of children there, but also it's very gamer friendly as well. We have lots of in-world quests and characters. You can learn to sort of, shoot a bow and arrow, or you can come to a banquet with lots of in-world characters and things going on. You know there are live jousting, live fighting with proper knights in full plate armour, and there's a lot going on. If you like sort of medieval thematic stuff, and if you like being in that world and you like playing games, and that's the place.
Okay, and where can people find more about that?
It's called the Loxwood Joust. So loxwoodjoust.com. That's LOXWOOD.
Brilliant. And you've got anything else going on? Do you do Nightmare Live as well? Is that also kind of exclusively at events now?
No, so it's our 10th year doing Nightmare Live. So we're doing a few more. We've got a night booked in at the Bill Murray pub in Angel, which is in London. It's a venue that is objectively too small to put on a Nightmare Live show. So what we're doing is a version of it called Under the Helmet, where Treguard and Lord Fear will basically run a chat show and we'll reminisce about fictional old times and basically do This Is Your Life, but with Lord Fear. And yeah, so we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. But it's very much like a side show to the main thing. But we'll bring the helmet along and theme tune, and we'll do photos, and it'll be very funny.
Excellent. And when's that?
That is on July the 7th.
Okay, so listener, not a huge amount of time, knowing how long it takes between event and editing and publishing podcast episode to track that down, but that should be a great event.
There's also a Nightmare event happening in Birmingham at the Mac Theatre in November. Dates TBD, so keep in touch with that. With the original Treguard, Hugo Myatt will be in attendance.
There you go, Nightmare fans, a night not to miss. Paul, thank you so much for your time. Where online can our listeners find you? Are you still Twittering or?
I'm still on Twitter at Pirate Moustache. Yeah, you can find me on there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks so much. Handshake.
Thanks so much to Dan from D&D Made Easy, Tom Kartos, the Biosphere Guardians 2050 team, Juan from Quintessence RPG, the team from Biodin's Beard, Ramona, Rich from Hatchling Games, Loki's Battle Matt, and the inimitable Paul Flannery. Do get in touch to enter the competition, and I'll catch you next time for more UK Games Expo interviews on the D20 Future Show.
I think you're just being asked to...
No! The gentleman's got cash. Would that be okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, how do I put it through?
Okay, so...
Sorry.
Not at all. This is why we can edit. It's absolutely fine. You're here to sell stuff, not chat to me, and I know that.
Oh, I'll take the chat, it's fine.